gratitude, it feels like we really do get what we ask for. It may not always be in the way or shape or timeline that we want, but we do get what we ask for. It's just that sometimes we're not fully aware of how we're asking for something. When we're complaining, that's also a request. It requires effort to practice gratitude like that. Because the default is negative, because our brain is hardwired to protect. So it's always going to look for the negative. It's always going to look for the risk or what could go wrong. It's the first thing that it will see in something. Yeah, that's the driving into town. Oh my God, I'll never get parking, Christmas shopping, traffic madness, whatever. That's so easily the default. So it does require effort to practice that gratitude of just trusting whatever is happening is for a reason. Our mind will always say, oh, it must be the terrible reason. It must be because of this. But in gratitude, we're trusting that, okay, whatever is happening, I'm trusting that this is ultimately for a really good reason. So if we bring this right back to where we started with this, which was the consciousness, love is a consciousness. That's the constant. That's a constant within us, and it's a constant in the universe. We can drop into that at any time. It is always there. That's why when we sit and we mantra or we meditate, this is why it feels good. We start to get closer and closer and touching into that consciousness. So to practice gratitude with something that hurt us, for me, I find it helpful to be grateful for the lesson. Grateful for what it taught me. That without the things that hurt me, without the disappointments or the grief or all of that, my appreciation for the good stuff wouldn't be as good. It's accepting that, oh, damn it, that really hurt. And it's accepting the full truth that, yeah, that really hurt. But it was also a really valuable experience for me. I learned a lot from that. You know, we grow because of something or we grow in spite of it. So like a lot of our early difficulties can be connected with our parents. So whether they were too amazing or they were too awful. Yeah, no, nobody's parents are perfect, right? So when we have, let's say, parents who are, let's say, overprotective, they're doing this completely from love, yeah? Really protective, don't allow the child any freedom to go out and play, or blah, blah, blah. And the result of that is somebody growing up and feeling that they don't know their place in the world. They could see that other people had their place in the world, but they didn't. They had to fight for theirs. So the gratitude is that what I had to grow in myself because of that. Exactly the same if we grow up in something that's really shocking or abusive or violent. We can grow because of that too. Our growth and our gratitude can be in recognizing that that's not how I want to be, that's not how I want to live. I want to create a different family than that. I don't want to cause hurt in that way. See, we can always find something that we're grateful for. We can always find how we grow from something. But if we're stuck in that place of that shouldn't have happened or they shouldn't have done that to me, it's very hard to find a place of gratitude then. We're just in blaming. So no matter how horrendous, we can find a piece of gratitude that, well, you know what, I learned how to be really strong because of that. I would easily look at my life. And recently I was talking to somebody about my experience in teenage years, you know, and coming out, and this was like 20-something years ago in rural North Kerry, and it was horrendously difficult. And I remember talking about it at the time, and you know, this is a story I've told countless times, and I was telling it to somebody new, and I was struck by it. I was struck by 17-year-old me, and how, as difficult as that was, and there was times I was on the brink, yeah, but as difficult as that was, I found a way through it. At that brink, the only option became survival. So I had to find a way to survive. And I'm so grateful that I found that. I wouldn't not have had that experience, even though it was ridiculously painful at the time. Really overwhelming. But when I look at my day job and what I do, without that experience, I wouldn't have as much empathy. I wouldn't have as much empathy for people's pain. So it's really helped me. I'm really grateful that I've had that. If I had had an easy life where everything ran well, I wouldn't have empathy for people going through difficulties or pain. I'd have no capacity to really get that. But we can use any of our life, every single person here has had an experience equivalent to that, in terms of difficulty or maybe even more difficulty. So our choice is in how we look at it. So yeah, I could bitch and moan about the school or about the parents or about society or about this, that and the other, whatever. I could totally stay stuck on that record. And I wouldn't be wrong. Yeah? But I wouldn't be any better either. So the choice in how we're grateful, because gratitude is moving with that energy of love, it's an expansive energy. It brings healing. When I'm in the complaining, moaning side, that's a contracting energy. That will just hold us in that position for as long as we stay like that. See, gratitude is power. Complaining really drains us. And that's not to minimize our painful experiences. They definitely have merit, but they only have value when we bring healing to them.